I'm really starting to think that our country or military isn't about loyalty anymore. Instead, I'm starting to wonder if our country or military is simply adopting the idea that, boys will be boys mentality. The mentality that men can do whatever they want without no repercussions, and that men in the military would never, ever hurt a woman. In other words, rape in the military doesn't exist. Because these are dedicated, hard-working men serving our country, and they would never, ever rape a woman. So down below in the description there is a link from CNN on a new story published Saturday, April 14, 2012, titled "Rape Victims Say Military Labels Them Crazy." And this is something that I've seen constantly, and it's been reoccurring, is that women in the military who get raped, when they report rape or they go to a higher-ranking officer to tell them what happened, they are looked down upon, they're ignored, and nobody takes what they have to say seriously. And I first want to say that as a sexual assault victim, I get very upset and angry at injustice, when injustice is done, but more so when people ignore people pleading for help. Because as a sexual assault victim, you really don't gain much from making up a story. Do people make up stories about being raped or sexually assaulted? Yes, they do. But in most cases, you're not going to be gaining anything from making that story up. So when I hear of higher-ranking senior officers in the military, Marines, or Navy, when these women come to these officers, male or female, and say, "Hey, something happened last night. I was raped by a Marine or a Navy man," and they just look at them and ignore it, or in this case, rip up the documents claiming that this person had been raped and throw it away. The crazy thing is, though, about these women getting raped in the military is that when they report it, they get psychiatric diagnosis and they automatically get a military discharge because their psychiatric diagnosis, the doctors, are labeling them as crazy or mentally unstable simply because they were raped or sexually assaulted. I highly recommend you read the link down below in the description, because if you do, it actually has quotes from these female military veterans who have served in the military and who all have been sexually assaulted or raped. Now, of course, the military has what is known as a zero-tolerance policy for anything in terms of sexual assault. But what amazes me is that when these women, or even men, because it happens to men too, confront about being a victim, they're not taken seriously. They're mocked for it, or they're ignored. Now, this is an actual quote from the article. It says, "Despite the Defense Department's zero-tolerance policy, there were 3,191 military sexual assaults reported in 2011. Given that most sexual assaults are not reported, the Pentagon estimates that the actual number was closer to 19,000. And quite frankly, the military says that sexual assault is completely unacceptable, that it's not right, it's wrong completely, but yet it's almost like this double standard where they say it's wrong, but then when they have people who come in the military and report that they've been sexually assaulted, they're completely disregarded. No one's career in the military should be ruined by a 30-minute psychiatric exam, which happens to be completely subjective, which is based upon the opinions, rather than observed evidence of these rape victims displaying psychological or problems from being raped. Now, I could be completely wrong on this, but from reading this article and the psychiatrists who get these women discharged from the military because they were sexually assaulted aren't really doing their job, because people who are sexually assaulted or raped does not automatically mean that they're psychologically damaged or they cannot serve in the military. Some people can be sexually assaulted, like myself, and still move on from that and not let that thing define us and scar us for the rest of our life. But to discharge all of these women simply because they're claiming that they were sexually assaulted and they even tell their full-length story, it's absurd, it's crazy, it's ridiculous, and I believe it's wrong. Now, to be honest, I really have no solution to this problem of rape in the military. All I can really say is that rape or sexual assault needs to be taken seriously, especially when someone, male or female, in the military goes to someone of a higher ranking authority with this problem. They're not to be simply ignored. Schroeder says a fellow Marine followed her to the bathroom April 2002. She says he then punched her, ripped off her pants, and raped her. When she reported what happened, a non-commissioned officer dismissed the allegation, saying, "Don't come back, BITCH, to me because you had sex and changed your mind." This is disgusting. Quote, "It's convenient to sweep this under the rug. It's also extremely convenient to slap a false diagnosis on young women and then get rid of them so you don't have to deal with what the problem is within your unit in the military. And unfortunately, a lot of sexual assault survivors are considered problems. And see, this is the problem with the military, is that if you were sexually assaulted, you're looked as a problem, an inconvenience, and that if you're an inconvenience, we're just going to discharge you. This goes back to what I was talking about, the 30-minute psychiatrist exams, that your career should not be shattered because of a stupid opinion of some doctor who thinks that you're crazy because you were sexually assaulted. Sexual assault and rape needs to be taken seriously. I don't give a crap who you think you are. You need to take it seriously, especially if you're a psychologist in the military and you're diagnosing these people and ruining their career because of it. And as I mentioned before, I don't really have a solution to how to stop sexual assault or rape within the military, but I do know it needs to be taken seriously, and if that means firing people or doctors in the military who give their little subjective opinion on someone who's crazy because they were raped or sexually assaulted, they deserve to be fired. They need to be discharged, not someone who was sexually assaulted. I'm Mr. Epsilon, also known as Daniel Sosbach. I'd like to know your thoughts on this too. Peace the rep out.